I'm in my bathrobe.
This is a very casual podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I came up with, I thought about this probably a couple of months ago. I'm not sure exactly what day I got the inspiration. I think it was something I was thinking about back that my mom had told me about in the 90s before we could actually do this kind of stuff. She was like, wouldn't it be cool if you could have your grandparents or your parents or your great aunts or cousins or whatever, if you could document their history, their lives, and just find out about how they grew up and where they were from and their history and stuff. Um, so I was like, that would be really cool. My mom had that idea back in the 90s before we had this technology to be able
Mm-hmm.
to do this. And I was like, now it's so simple. I could literally just grab family members or people I care about, and we could just talk about where you came from and your life experiences. Because, you know, you've been around for a few years longer than me, maybe two or three. You're a little bit older than me.
Yeah, two or three.
Yeah, just a couple. But there are obviously things that you have gone through, things you've experienced um, that the younger generation can't relate to, and even any generation can't necessarily relate to. And I think there's some value in that. I think it's just interesting to hear the stories of like how you and Randy met and when you had your kids and what it was like growing up, and then you moved to Umatilla and then his brothers and your family and all that stuff. So I decided to start a podcast called For Our Loved Ones. So it's sorry, already getting emotional. So yeah, just to document the history of our families so that, the generations after us, when we're gone, can, now that we can actually save like audio and video files, they can look at it and they can listen to it later and they can learn things that happened. I mean, think about it. Your grandparents were alive in the Depression. Um, Maybe your parents were, I'm not sure of the math there, but you didn't have this technology back then. And can you imagine what it would be like if somebody from 1876, the Civil War, could have recorded this and you could listen to it now? What it was like to be living through the Civil War or living through um, when we first became a country in 1776. So that's all. That was my inspiration. That's all I was kind of. And you're my first guest. I want to get Jason and Gwen on here. I want to get Art and Mary Jean on here. I want to get Christopher on here and just hear their stories
Mm-hmm.
and just document it. So, and it's just a conversation. It's not an interview. So I know you're from the East Coast, West Virginia, I think.
Weston, West Virginia.
Okay. And how old were you when you came out to Oregon City?
16?
Okay, and that was, well, we don't have to talk about what year, but you came out here with your family, I think. And how long had you been in Oregon City before you met Randy?
I met Randy when I was 19.
Oh, you'd been here for 3 years.
Yeah, basically 2.5, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, we moved up here, and we wasn't here but a year and a half, 2 years. And my folks decided my dad decided that he didn't like this work and it wasn't good, so he wanted to move back to West Virginia.
Okay, and I don't want to keep interrupting, but what was the work your dad was doing that he moved out here for?
He was a welder
Okay.
on the shipyards down on the river,
Okay.
Zidell's, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So there was work when he moved out here for it.
yeah, but not what he really wanted. I don't know exactly what he wanted because he did drive truck back east,
Okay.
delivering to grocery stores.
Yeah.
But then he decided I don't know what he decided, but he decided he didn't want to be here anymore. So they were moving back, and I had just turned 18.
Okay.
And I said, well, I don't have to go.
Oh, okay. So
I'm gonna stay.
So you'd been here for a couple of years, and you just decided that
Well, had a job. I was working at A&W.
right on the hill, going up
Yeah.
in downtown Oregon City. I forget.
And I
Yeah.
worked with a gal named Shirley Rance who had a duplex a couple blocks from the high school. And
The old Oregon City High School,
yep.
not the new one.
Right.
Right.
And so she said, well, if you want to move in with me, you'd have to sleep on the couch, but because it's small, but you can move in with me. And so I did.
Did you have siblings?
No. Well, in Portland, I
Okay.
had an aunt and cousins in Portland.
But I meant like when you made that choice to just stay in Oregon, you were on your own, and you were staying with I guess the owner of A&W.
No, just another employee that worked
I'm
there.
sorry, another employee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then kept working there and stayed with her. And then how long before you met Randy?
Not long. He came into the A&W as a customer.
And was he already into the roofing thing when you met him, or what was he
Yeah,
doing?
he worked for Jack Tarleton, Tarleton's Roofing.
Okay. Was he like a local guy that had a business, or I'm assuming?
Tarleton Roofing. Oh yeah, Jack
Okay.
Tarleton owned a lot of Oregon City.
And Randy had been doing that for at least a few years.
Him and his dad. I don't know how long they were doing it because they were up here for a little while. They used to live on the Clackamas River,
Okay.
and then they moved to Oregon City
Okay.
on Monroe Street, and
Yep.
so they were coming into the A&W.
And that's how you met Randy. He came in for a hamburger one day, I'm assuming.
Oh, they come in for root beer floats.
Root beer floats.
Yeah.
Because I'm a car guy, so I'm kind of curious. Do you remember what Randy was driving the first time you remember noticing him?
Yeah, a Jeep.
Like an old, like a Jeep Wrangler, like
Yeah,
a Jeep
like
Jeep?
Jeep, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, canvas cover and all that. Jeep.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome. That's really cool. Had he just gotten off work, or?
I don't know.
But he just came in. Did he strike up a conversation with you, or did? I'm assuming. Only going by, I think what I know about Pam, I'm assuming Randy was a talkative guy.
Not super talkative, really. He always come in. He was seldom by himself. He'd usually come in with a friend of his, Mike, and or sometimes his sister, Sandra.
Yes, of course. Okay.
In fact, I even got Sandra a job there after meeting him.
Oh, that's funny. So he was coming in with friends and coworkers and stuff.
Yeah,
But
and very flirty and talkative
okay.
and such with me. So.
Okay.
And then he asked me out.
Well, and you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to, but what was the first date?
Drive-in.
Oregon City Drive-In?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oregon City
I went there when
Drive-In.
I was a kid, so I know what you're talking about.
With a couple of other friends of his.
Do you remember what movie you saw?
I do not. But they were gory.
Oh, it was like horror movies.
Yeah, it was like somebody who owned a restaurant going out butchering women and serving up
Oh, Jesus.
something breast and thigh and stuff.
Oh, my God.
Gory.
So he took you on a horror to see a horror movie on your first date.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's the man of my dreams.
Horror movie.
Oh my gosh, that's great. So you met him. I guess we should document the years. That would have been 1960.
And
5?
No, 69.
Okay, because Pam was 70.
Yeah.
Okay, so you met him in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then, so when you met him, did he already have his own place, or was he living with roommates?
He still lived with his mom and dad.
Which, are they the ones that had the property
Yeah.
off of New Era?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you guys started dating and got married, did you first start living with them, or did you get your own place? Or?
No, our first place was a furnished apartment. I don't know the street. You know where Singer Hill is? It was at the top of Singer Hill. That's the curvy one that goes down and crosses the track there in Oregon City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's-
in Oregon City proper,
Yeah.
not out in the country.
No.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's called Singer Hill. Well, it was a
Yeah.
McLaughlin house. It was
Yes.
somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
There was behind that convenience store that was right up there,
Right.
7-Eleven or whatever it
Yep.
was.
Yep.
Yeah, it was somewhere right behind there. There was a upstairs furnished apartment,
Okay.
and that was our first place. And we moved directly into that. So
And then eventually you become pregnant with TJ. And then at what point did you guys have that house on? Wasn't the house on Moreau?
we wasn't in the apartment very long,
Okay.
probably way less than a year.
Because then you ended up renting that house. Was it on Monroe?
Yeah,
And then eventually bought it from the people you rented it from?
yeah, for $5,000.
Oh, say that again. You bought a house for how much?
$5,000.
Jesus Christ. So many people listening to this are going to be jealous.
And our payments were only $75 a month.
Oh my gosh. How we pine for the old days.
Yeah.
And so did you get pregnant with TJ after you moved into the house?
I got pregnant with Pam.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pam's the older one.
Uh-huh.
I keep wanting to say that she's younger just because, I always tell her that. I'm sorry. Pam's the older sister. My
Yes.
bad. I'm sorry. I got that mixed up.
Yeah, Pam is the oldest.
Well, it's because I keep telling her that she's younger than me. So that's just stuck in my head. Okay. So you got pregnant with Pam 1st. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
And rented the house first. And you guys stayed there, I think, until...
Till after the girls graduated.
Right.
Pam graduated high school. Till
So-
after that.
So you stayed there until 1993 or 92 or something?
Gosh, I don't know what year we moved up to the other house.
So you moved from there to another place in Oregon City?
Yeah, we bought a place on the hill off of, I want to say Pease Road, but it wasn't Pease. It was off of Pease.
But it's still in Oregon City?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
just up on the hill.
And stayed there for a long time. By this time, TJ's doing her thing. Pam was with Jason. At what year was it that you guys ended up going to Umatilla?
2000.
Okay, and in 2000, Pam was in L.A., right?
November of 2000 is when we went.
Okay, and was Pam already in Southern California, I think? Is that right? I'm not trying to remember the years here.
And my mind is terrible with that.
Yeah, me too. And she's told me so many times. Wait, she might have been in Yakima then. Maybe
Yeah,
that's...
I think she was in
okay.
Yakima then. She
So that was
closer.
actually still pretty close. 'Cause
Yeah.
you could drive there in an hour
Yeah.
and a half, I think.
Yeah.
All right. A question I've always wanted to know, because I've met them. How did Randy meet Art? I'm assuming they worked together at some point.
Well, after they met, how did Randy meet Art? I know this. I keep wanting to say, okay, was it through a mutual friend, but I don't know who it was. I can't remember who it was.
But Randy met Art when you guys were still in Oregon City?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
so Art and Mary Jean, were they
In fact,
together?
they lived in Canby.
Were Art and Mary Jean together when Randy first met them?
Yeah, but not
Okay.
married yet.
But they were in Canby.
Yeah, because we used to run the river together.
Oh, okay.
The Deschutes, all the time.
Over in Maupin.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, we ran it all the time.
So I'm assuming he met Art and Mary Jean because Art's also in construction.
Yeah,
So
but I'm trying to remember who it was.
a little closer to the mic.
Um,
You're fine. That's why I keep the headphones on.
I don't remember who it was that introduced us at all. I cannot remember.
Okay. But at some point, and was that in the did you guys meet Art when Pam was still in high school, or was it after that?
It was after.
Oh.
I think it was after.
Okay, because I forget what was the first year that Randy started going down the Snake.
No, it must have been after because Pam's gone down the Snake when they were little.
Right.
We did a lot of rafting when they were little.
And wasn't it Art that
So-
was it Art that showed Randy
In
the
fact, Christopher and Ross aren't that much different age-wise. They were kids growing up together. They
Right.
each call themselves brothers.
Right, they're about the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
Clark,
okay.
Marty Clark,
And was he
is
a,
how. Well, I'm not sure who it was who introduced us to Marty Clark. But it was, I think, some kind of a relative or something. I'm not sure, but he was Randy's best man when we got married,
Okay.
and he introduced us to Art.
Okay. He
And so
must have worked
that's
with him or
when
was just friends with him or
Friends,
something?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he never. Yeah, Marty never did any construction type stuff,
Okay.
but just friends. And that's how we met Art and Mary Jean.
Okay.
And then we just became really good friends, all of us, after that.
Yeah. And then you guys obviously started going down the Snake River and all, but I
Mm-hmm.
think from what I've heard, Randy was always an outdoorsman.
Yep.
So he was probably already
In fact, he canceled our first date because it was elk season or hunting season, put it that way. And Joe was in the service, his brother Joe,
okay.
and he was back on leave, and he wanted to go hunting. So he canceled our first date to go hunting.
This sounds like when Pam tells me about she wanted to make sure that Brady she scheduled the C-section to make sure that Brady got born before hunting season because she knew her dad would be gone.
Yeah.
And was Randy always going to deer camp the same place over there back then, or was that something he discovered later?
Gosh. I think he discovered it later. Not a lot later, though. They were going on to the coast
Oh, okay.
a lot. They hunted the coast. In
Okay.
fact, that's where Big Thing came from, the elk. That and I think Christopher still has it.
Oh, that
Sweet
one.
Thing. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
Sweet Thing.
I saw it. Okay.
A huge elk.
Okay.
That was his first elk, and it was a trophy elk. It got Field and Stream honor blade and
Oh, geez.
yeah, everything. Yeah,
It was a big one.
yeah, big.
And he got that on the Oregon coast?
Yep.
Oh,
And
geez.
they had to pack it out because it was way down deep.
Oh, my gosh. That's a workout.
Yeah. So
All right. So around 1969, then Pam's born in 70. TJ was 72 or 73?
72.
So TJ was my age. Okay. Same year. And you guys stayed in Oregon City for a long time. For most of that time, when you were in Oregon City, Randy was doing the roofing job, right?
Oh,
Running
that's
his own-
all he ever did.
running his own business. I know you helped him with that, doing a lot of the books and stuff. But then you also had you had a job too,
Yeah.
Elmer's.
Yeah.
I think after A&W. At some point, you stopped working at A&W and you went to Elmer's, or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. I quit A&W because I was pregnant. So
with Pam or
yeah,
TJ?
Pam.
Oh, okay. And then after she was born, you got on at Elmer's, and I feel like you became friends with, was it the owners of Elmer's or manager? Like you knew them, and at some point in your time there, did they sell it to somebody else? Am I getting this right?
Actually, I first started at Clackamas Elmer's,
Right.
but I didn't get along with the night manager at all.
Okay, but you went to the
And
Oregon
then
City
Oregon
Elmer's.
City was opening up. It hadn't even opened yet.
Oh.
And so they were doing all first hires, and I got
Oh.
on there because I already had experience.
Which is a lot more convenient. It's closer to home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got on there, and I was there for quite a few years, and I just could not handle the manager anymore. I mean, if it isn't one thing, it was another. She had Patty, our supervisor, the head waitress, tell me that my skirts were too short. Now, I'd been wearing them that way, just above my knee, for God only knows how long. Now, all of a sudden, they're too short.
So is this still in the 70s or the 80s? I'm trying to think why just above the knee was too short. I mean,
No, it was just
that's
her
not that
thing.
that's not that risque.
No, it wasn't at all. And I said, well, why isn't she telling me? And Patty says, well, I don't know. She told me to tell you. Well, I said, well, she can tell me. So I went back and I'm knocking on the office door. I know she's there.
Yeah,
And she wouldn't answer the door.
of course not.
No. And I says, well, I was outside and I says, look, if you want me to have longer skirts, you can go buy me whole new uniforms because I'll be damned if I'm going to do it. We just didn't get, well, it was Rosalie Parisi.
You still remember the name?
Louie and Rosalie Parisi were the
Okay.
managers of that new one.
Okay, in Oregon
And,
City.
yeah. And she had to have all the time remodeling, all new drapes, all new this, all ran the place down. And I just couldn't take it. So I went back over to Clackamas.
Okay.
And Ellen, the gal who was, and she was still there, that I didn't get along with the first time because I had never done that kind of waitressing before.
Okay.
I was always fast food.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
So-
that's totally different.
I says, look, the first time I worked here, I says, we didn't get along. I says, but we are this time.
Okay.
And we became really great friends. I'd have my dinner with her and
that's funny.
everything. So, yeah. In fact, she even called me. It was a couple of years ago. She even somehow got my number and called me.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
to see how I was doing and to say hi.
That is so cool.
And she lived here in Vancouver, in fact, and worked at Clackamas Elmer's.
Wow.
Yeah, she lived somewhere here in Vancouver. Worked at Clackamas Elmer's.
Even when she was working at the Clackamas one,
Yeah.
she had to commute that far.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
geez.
if it was icy, she always went over and stayed at one of the hotels.
Oh, right.
She did
right.
not want to cross that bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So-
don't blame her. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I still am in touch with Dawn, who still works at Clackamas Elmer's.
Still does?
Yeah, Dawn still works there. Ruth still works there, and she was there before She's been there since the place opened, I think. And she is still
So,
there. There are lifers at
are
Clackamas
they-
Elmer's.
Are they around your age, or how old are they?
I think they're younger than me.
A little bit, but they're
Yeah.
probably in their 60s or 50s.
Oh, at least. Yeah.
Wow.
In their 60s, probably. But yeah, and Tammy, Judy, she's Hispanic. She was a hostess.
Okay.
I don't think Tammy Anderson still works there, but she's in touch with them. In fact, me as well on Facebook and stuff.
So was Elmer's a locally owned business?
I don't think Joe Carson owned it.
Okay.
And I don't think it was part of the franchise. I think he was. How do you do that where you it's your place, but yet you're not part of the franchise thing or
Oh,
something? I don't know.
You can do that if you maybe got in right when they started. You can say,
Mm-hmm.
look, if you want to franchise it, that's fine, but I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah, maybe.
I know it's a corporate thing, but I don't think it's. I don't remember. I
Yeah.
did some time as a truck driver. I've never seen an Elmer's outside of the Northwest. I don't think they're.
Yeah, no, they don't go all over
I
the
think
world.
it's like Oregon and Washington.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay.
And then quite a few years ago, they lost Joe, and now, oh gosh, it's his son's name. I knew it the other day. But his son is running the place now.
The Clackamas one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, his son is running it.
Oh my gosh.
I saw Carol in several of the photos that were on Facebook. Carol was Joe's wife.
Okay.
She'd come in and eat dinner with him and stuff, and
That's
he was
so
a fantastic boss.
Yeah, that's so funny because I do remember. So my uncle obviously has had that house in Oregon City for a long time. We went to the Oregon City one a ton, like in the late 80s and early 90s. We went there all the time. I guarantee you probably helped us. I just didn't know you at the time. But we also went to the Clackamas one a few times back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's hilarious. Okay, so
Joe. Joel is his name.
Joel or
Joe's son's name, who owns it, who's
Is-
got it now, is Joel.
Joel with an L. Okay.
Joel. Yeah.
Okay. So Randy's doing the roofing thing. You're working at Elmer's. What? And then was it who? You told me this earlier. Was it Randy's parents that lived up off New Era?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they had a house up there, which is really close to my friend's winery. It's like right down the road
Yeah.
from it. And then there was, so I've heard Pam talk about spending a lot of time at Grandpa's house with like Anne and Colette, or Cleta and Colette. A lot of the cousins, Jamie Burnham, I think, was there too. Jamie
Yeah.
Burnham, is it Burnham now, or it is Burnham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, her name wouldn't be Burnham.
No, now she's married to my friend Jim West.
Oh, really?
Which is so funny. Yeah.
Oh, I
So,
didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Oh.
Jamie, I know we told you the story, but it's been 5 years. When we, in 2017, the year of the eclipse, when we flew out the Sunday before the eclipse happened to go to Boston, and we spent that week there to go see Kenny Chesney. On the flight back, we were at the airport, and we ran into my friend Jim West, who was a Portland cop. He was retired then, but he ended up marrying Jamie. So like, I'm standing at the ticket line, and I say hi to Jim, and Jamie's with him, and Pam and Jamie look at each other and they go, I know you. Yeah. So my friend Jim ended up marrying Jamie.
And my sister-in-law ended up marrying Daryl, Jamie's brother.
Oh
Burnham.
my gosh. There were so many connections here throughout the last 30 or 40 years. Like I think I've told you this too. Pam became the dance team coach at Canby High School literally 3 months after I left. I graduated in 90. I went to college. And then I think that 90 season, the 90-91 school year, is when Pam started becoming an assistant coach for the dance team. I just missed her by like 3 months.
Well, did she tell you that she actually, after graduating high school, went to travel school?
She has told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, that just
Because
never went anywhere with her. But
was it because of Wendy? Wendy did that, right? Is
yeah,
that
Wendy
why?
did that. There was a couple of girls that did that,
Yeah.
but actually went on to manage hotels and such.
Right. So Pam went to it, but then just obviously
Wasn't her cup of tea or something,
But she
I
was
don't
already
know.
dating Jason and,
Yeah.
and started doing the dance team thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Jason had a good thing going with his dad at Farmers. So,
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So what gosh, I'm just trying to track this timeline down. There's so many times that even my dad would have crossed paths with you guys. But you guys pretty much hung out in Oregon City. I know you guys went to the Midway a lot and played pool and stuff.
Yeah, almost 7 days a week.
Yeah. And my dad had his favorite haunts that were more like Malino, Malala, stuff like that. So let's see. Then Pam goes to Yakima. You guys moved to Umatilla, and there was a short stint, I think, where Randy was maybe going to try doing the truck driving thing, but that just didn't work out.
That was when we moved. Because I first went to Umatilla in November of 70. No, November of 80. I first went to Umatilla
Okay.
because we had already knew that, TJ had the cancer.
Oh, and she was already
Yeah.
living over there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so
Were they
she
in-
thought
were they
she
in-
was supposedly in remission.
Were they in Tri-Cities then? Is that where they were?
No, they were in Umatilla.
Okay.
And then I got a call because Randy was elk hunting, of course.
I'm shocked.
And it was in November, and he was elk hunting. And I got the call. Actually, I even had all the girls from Elmer's were over for a Mexican night. I made strawberry margaritas.
Nice.
From scratch, made enchiladas and Mexican rice and everything from
my
scratch.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to make you do that here now.
Yeah, I don't even remember how anymore.
I'm
It's been
kidding.
so long since I've done it, or I would love
I'm
it.
kidding.
The enchiladas, yes, I could do. It's the Mexican rice. I can't remember everything I put in it, besides cumin and green beans.
The essentials.
Yeah. But that's when I got the call that they had to take her into the hospital, back into the hospital, that she had to go to the hospital in, is it Seattle?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Seattle. And so I packed it up, and I called Ellen that night, and I says, look, I won't be back. I doubt I ever come back.
Right. So
To work.
that's how you ended up in Umatilla.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I left the next morning for Umatilla to help take care of the kids.
Okay. Yeah, because TJ already had all of them, right? By then,
Yeah.
all of them, all
All four.
four. Yes.
In fact, Garrett was only 3 years old.
Okay.
Sarah was 5.
Right. Okay.
So I think I'm thinking that October was
Yeah, because she's
8 and Christopher 10, or it was 10 and 12, something like that.
Yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
3, maybe 4 year difference between.
Yeah, a couple
okay.
of years difference
Okay.
between them.
Okay.
Yeah. And
But that's how you and Randy ended up in Umatilla.
yeah, and he so when we talked about, because we knew we were going to have to sell the house
Mm-hmm.
and move everything to Umatilla, because we had to be there to help take care of things.
Right.
And because we knew she wasn't going to last, that she was passing. And so we moved to help take care of all the kids.
Right.
And
You're fine. You're
And,
fine. I can still hear you.
and so he wanted something he could do to make a living.
Yeah.
So that's when he went to the truck driving school. And he passed in everything.
Right.
And he got on for one of the big trucking
It
companies.
was Knight Transportation.
Yes,
because
Knight
I did a
Transportation.
stint with them. That's how I remember it. Yeah.
And when he went to Arizona for training, because Pam went with him,
Yeah, they were based in Phoenix.
yeah, he found out he had high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And so he had to come back and go to the doctor and get that under control. And when he did, it dawned on him he couldn't do that
Yeah.
because he would have to leave
Oh God, yes.
and leave me in charge of the house and 4 kids.
Yeah, you're.
And he wouldn't do
I did
that.
that life. I did it for a few years, and it's like you're lucky if you have a couple of days home every 2 weeks. Yeah, that's just
So he wouldn't do that.
no.
And so he roofed where he could and when he could, but there wasn't as much as like in Oregon City. There was nonstop.
Right.
He had such a schedule that there were times that he couldn't even get a day off.
So then, at what time was it, or what year was it around that time that Art and Mary Jean ended up moving over there, and then Art started working as a river guide, and how did that happen?
Yeah, he. I'm trying to think I don't remember what year that they actually moved to Baker, but they sold their house in Canby.
Did they move after you guys
Or
were?
it was actually in Aurora.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But did they move after you guys were already over there?
I don't remember.
Okay, but it was close around the same time.
It might have been before.
Okay, but they were
I'm
there.
thinking it might have been before.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was before. And so they moved over there. And I don't know who he met to get the job, but he started working for somebody as a guide.
Oh, the river down the Snake River, Hell's Canyon. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's been doing it ever since.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Hunting trips,
Yep.
guiding, everything.
Yeah. Although I think the last time, because we saw him, we stopped at their place that first April of the pandemic, so 2020. And I feel like he said that the owner was going to sell the business. So is Art still working for the new owner?
As far as I know, he's still guiding.
Okay. Okay, good.
But what's crazy is when they first moved over there, it was just a single trailer. That's all they had.
Like a single wide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
single
yeah.
wide trailer that they were living in.
Yeah.
And I have not once been over there to see the new house yet.
Oh, it's pretty nice.
I'm sure it is.
Pretty nice. In
Just
fact,
from the pictures,
when
but
we
I've
were-
never been over there.
when
to their
we're
place.
gonna have to take you. And when we stopped there
So-
in 2020, it was so funny because Mary Jean was halfway through putting down like a walkway with a bunch of pavers, kind of like we did out here, but it was a much bigger project. But like she would just go out there whenever she had time and start putting pavers down. And she was trying to build a patio, but also like a walkway around the house. And it was like in the middle of it. So it was half done, but it cracked me up because I got so excited because I was like, oh my God, I just did that. We just had to do that at our house for a much smaller area. But yeah, the house that their place is great. They have a great piece of property, a great view of the sunset,
Well,
a
I
great
knew
view
that,
of the stars.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got more than just the house as far as property goes. It goes back.
They have a ton of property
Yeah,
from what I
they
heard.
do.
Yeah. And then, so at some point, you don't remember for sure how Randy found out about the deer camp over there, if Art found it or he found it and they all started just going together?
I can't remember.
Or maybe it was as simple as did Randy just put in for a tag in that area and he actually got it and he was like, oh, I'll
That
just go
could
over
very
there.
well be.
I'll just go over there and find a place to camp.
That could very well be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure, or if somebody else said that they camped there.
Or they
but
recommended
since
it.
then, we've gotten voltage camping there and hunting there,
Yep.
and a lot of.
Oh, it's
other
become
people.
a thing.
It's a thing.
And then I've heard Pam talk about every time the trip to deer camp, even from Oregon City, theoretically, you would think it would be faster to go all the way down 84 over to Baker City and down. But she was like, no, Randy didn't want to do that. He would take the back roads.
Oh, he hated freeways.
Yes.
You know how we went?
He would go over Mount Hood,
No.
or did he go down through like Bend and Burns?
Oh, wait. No, over Mount Hood.
And then
Yeah.
you would turn off, instead of going to Madras, there's a cutoff. And it drops you into Maupin. Mm-hmm. And then you can, he would take all the 2-lane highways.
Except for when we moved over to Eastern Oregon. When we moved to Umatilla,
Then
we would go to Pendleton. And when we get into Pendleton there, because you're going past McDonald's and stuff.
Right.
Okay, you keep going past McDonald's and just keep going out that way. And I don't remember names of the roads or anything. I just know that there was a bridge or an overpass thing. And then before you got to that overpass, you'd hang a left and then you just keep going. I know exactly the route to get there.
Oh,
it's
right.
all
Because
back roads.
when you were living in Umatilla, he would get on the freeway long enough to get to Pendleton and then get off and take the back roads. Yes. Which I can actually appreciate those roads.
He avoided the freeway
I don't blame him.
like you would avoid mosquitoes.
Yes.
He did not like freeways.
I mean, those little 2-lane
he would
roads,
take what he called shortcuts, but believe me, they were not short.
but they were a lot more pretty,
More scenic.
They were more scenic. It was a more enjoyable drive.
Yes,
and
it
there
was.
less. There was probably
Yes.
no traffic
And
almost.
we could drink a beer.
Yes, and there was probably you had to deal with a bunch of other cars and
Yeah,
and whatever. It was just more relaxing.
it was
I
a lot
guarantee
more.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, and then gosh, that same and we told you we went over there that same time we went and saw Art and Mary Jean's house. That was when she had just bought the first RAV4. So we tried to get the deer camp, but it was snowed in April.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we told you the story. So
Yeah.
we got close, but I didn't get all the way up there.
It's a place that seriously, I mean, I'm seriously getting to where should I choose to take some time off, I could.
Yeah.
Financially, I'm getting to where if I choose to, I could.
Yeah, of course.
And
I mean, you're working your ass off.
so,
Jesus, you're
well-
supposed to be retired.
well, no, I don't know what that is because I don't think I'll ever retire
Well,
until
obviously you're not, but
until they take my car keys or my legs give out or something. Working means money.
yeah,
That's how I look at it. Working
Yeah.
means spending money.
yeah,
And what I won't even have to worry about that really in a few months. Because July, my car will be paid off. That's an extra almost $600 a month in my pocket.
Nice. It is a good feeling. I can relate to that. That's why I drive that Nissan. It's paid off. I love not having a car payment.
I did too with the Explorer.
With the Explorer, yeah, but you got a nice vehicle.
Yeah, and it probably would have gone out by now.
Right. So it was a
So,
good investment to
yeah.
buy something else that's reliable.
Yeah.
And it's an easy thing to drive,
And I just have barely over 40,000 on it.
and it's a 2015.
Yeah.
There's no reason to sell it, but I was going to
gosh,
say,
no.
if you wanted to, you could get so much money for that.
Oh, no.
But don't
then
sell
I'd
it.
have to
It's
buy
the
another
No,
one.
it's the perfect
No,
car.
it
is the
is.
perfect
I love
car
it,
for you.
so-
I'm kind of jealous that you have it, but I do love the fact that I don't have a car payment, and I just had to buy some studded tires, and I can actually make it to work in wintertime.
And just as soon as I get my car paid off, then I'm going to go in and trade up on phones.
Oh, okay.
So that my old phone don't go dead on me anymore.
Right.
I'm going to trade up. So I can afford the extra payment then. I won't mind making it.
Yeah, because
But right now I don't want to make it till the car's paid off.
Once you lose that car payment, then that opens up some
Oh,
discretionary income.
it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where, obviously, and you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. Once you made the decision to stay in Oregon City, your family went back to West Virginia, or
Yep.
okay, you have sisters, brothers. I know you have at least a sister, but I don't remember all the details.
Between holes and halves, there's 17 of us.
Okay. Don't you have a sister that's in Florida? Is that right?
Oh, the crazy one, Debbie.
I wasn't gonna
Deborah.
say that out loud.
No, she's
but,
the loony one.
she's the one you went
She's
on
a
the
lunatic.
the one you went on the Alaska cruise with.
That abandoned me.
Okay, and I can send this file to Kristen, and she can edit that part out. If we post it, I don't want her to hear that.
I don't care.
Okay.
I really
so
don't.
anything you say on here, I can edit
She
out.
calls me. If I hear her voice, I hang up. But she doesn't have my new phone number.
Okay,
See,
so problem solved.
Since I changed phones,
Okay.
from a flip, I got this and got different number. She don't have that number.
Now you're on a smartphone.
Yeah. I have her number unless she's changed it, but I'll not use it.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So
I had a
basically-
sister that died, Patty.
Okay, younger.
She was murdered.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
Patty
You
is
don't have
younger.
to talk about it if you don't want
Patty
to.
was
but that's,
younger because
that's
I was the
interesting.
first born daughter that my mom had.
Okay.
And, I don't know a lot of the details. I just know
Because you were
that
young.
she was murdered.
I'm assuming you were young.
And
when
I
that
got all
happened?
this and read some of it on some information that Deborah had when I was at her home.
Your sister in
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah, my sister
Okay.
in Florida.
And your sister in Florida is also younger or older?
Oh, she's younger too.
Okay. And then
She's
Pat-
actually not a stepsister. She's actually a real sister
Okay.
from my dad's side.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess she is. My mom and dad. Of course, he won't admit that my mom was pregnant when they left.
Okay.
But Deborah is his, and it's obvious.
And then
But he would never admit it. He won't claim her.
what happened to Patty happened back in West Virginia? Or?
I don't know where it was at because like I said, there are so many of them. She was
Okay.
in a bigger town, so it wasn't in West Virginia. She wasn't even. They've lived in Virginia. They've lived in other states. I'm not sure where all.
So did that happen after you stayed in Oregon and they went back?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't when you were a young kid. It
No.
happened. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I wasn't.
No,
getting
it
the
happened
timeline.
later. She was grown and all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So,
Okay.
and she looked just like my mom.
Oh, gee.
But then so do I. So,
The photo.
and so does Pam.
Yes, the photo on the wall.
Well,
Isn't-
not her picture. No, Pam has her photo. No, that's Ma and Pa. Randy's folks.
Oh gosh, sorry. All
That's
right.
okay.
I always
Pam has her photo though. It's big.
Okay.
I think it was in oil.
Okay.
Done, or something. I'm
and
not
I'm sure she
but
showed it to me, but
She has it.
okay.
I gave it to her. I didn't want it.
You also gave me that great photo of Pam in high school when her hair was kind of in the awkward stage. I love that photo. And Pam even said, "That's when I was in the awkward stage."
Yeah, kind of.
Oh my gosh. So you moved out from West Virginia at 16, I think,
Yeah.
to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's actually interesting. Coming from the East Coast, because I've had this conversation with my dad. At that age, you're old enough to remember. What was it like coming out to the West Coast, to Oregon? Was it like totally different? Just the people? Were they
I don't know.
totally?
I really didn't think a whole lot about it until I started Oregon City High School. And my stepmom let me skip a lot to walk downtown with her and go shopping.
Okay.
The kids there were like babies.
Like
I couldn't relate to them.
So it's almost like they didn't have any life experience. Is that
yeah,
kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I was raised with responsibility.
Oh,
I
know.
had to
Yes.
help clean house. I had to do the dishes after dinner. I had to help prepare dinner.
Yeah.
And with my stepmom, I had to make sure that my brothers and sisters were getting themselves ready for bed and everything. And
Okay.
I had so much responsibility. I wasn't allowed to do anything after school or be involved in any school
Activities.
sports or spend the night with anybody or anything.
Oh, okay.
I was not allowed to do that.
So it was completely different from the background you
Yeah,
came from.
and they were such babies, such infantile. I could not relate to them at all, and I didn't want to be there
At first, obviously.
at all.
At
I didn't want
first,
to be
but
there.
you
So
obviously made the choice to
so-
stay. But
Here, yes, but I quit high school. My mom, my
Oh.
stepmom and dad they let me quit high school.
okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
you
I
were
went to
like-
work then. I worked at Pendleton during the day, and A&W at night.
Pendleton. Was that a
Pendleton
store?
Woolen Mills
Pendleton
in
was.
Milwaukee.
What was it?
Pendleton Woolen Mills. You know Pendleton Woolen Mills
No, I don't remember that.
off of McLaughlin Boulevard in Milwaukee.
Well, I remember the Southgate Theater.
No, Pendleton Woolen Mills. If you're going toward Milwaukee from Oregon City, it's
Right.
on the left-hand side.
Okay. Is it right before you get to that Southgate movie theater?
Gosh, I don't even know what that is anymore.
Okay. But I know, like, if you go down McLaughlin and you get into Milwaukee, there's that downtown area. It's
It's past that. It's a little ways
farther
past
to the
that.
south. Okay.
Yeah, little ways past that.
Pendleton Wool and was
Woolen Mills.
it?
WOOL.
So what was it though? What kind of a
You've
business?
heard of Pendleton wool coats, Pendleton shirts,
Yeah, but I thought
Pendleton.
that was from Pendleton.
Pendleton Woolen Mills. They made them.
But I thought it was from Pendleton, Oregon.
No,
Like, oh, I had no
No.
idea.
you got to be kidding me.
They sell Pendleton stuff at Costco. I thought that was like literally from Pendleton, Oregon.
I don't know if the factory is still open or anything, if
Oh.
they still do it there. But yeah, Pendleton Woolen Mills.
So
I was sewing.
you were actually making the products?
Yeah, each person had one thing that they did. Like one would do sleeves.
Yes.
And one might do this.
It was
and
an
one might
assembly
do,
line.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
Until I started falling asleep at my machine because I was working two jobs and one of them ran very late.
Yeah. So A&W
And so-
was A&W was daytime, and you were there
Yeah.
at
No,
the
A&W was evening
and you were at
because
Pendleton
Pendleton was
daytime.
Daytime.
But you
yeah.
were probably staying up late for A&W and then
Yeah,
not getting
working
enough
there,
sleep.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And so I quit Pendleton and just.
Gee. Well, yeah, because you didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
commute.
But then after my folks left to go back east, then I would walk downtown and work the bar rush at the Wheel.
The Wheel.
The Wheel. Bar, downtown Main Street, Oregon City.
Like down at the bottom
Right
of
there
the hill.
where the factories are at.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's right on that
The
intersection.
paper factory or whatever. Well,
Yeah. Oh my
the Wheel.
gosh.
I would get out and work the bar rush after I closed the A&W.
As a server or bartender? Or?
I would just whatever, cleaning
Oh
tables,
my gosh.
hauling some plates out to somebody,
Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
I remember the Wheel when I was in high school because I would living in Canby. Every time I wanted to see a movie, I would have to drive to Clackamas Town Center to see a movie, and I would go right. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that is so hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't take orders or anything, but clear and take, because after the bar rush, people come out to eat and everything before they go home.
Okay.
And so I would clear tables and take something out if they needed me to or what have you.
Oh
But
my gosh.
yeah.
Next time we do this, I'm going to have to have a sheet of paper because as we're talking, there's so many ideas that are popping in my head, so many questions. I need to make notes about these. Oh, God. and I just lost the one I wanted to ask you about. But it was something about Pendleton Wool. I can't remember. So this whole time, Randy's at what point? Oh, it was a thing about a story Pam told me. Wasn't her first vehicle. Oh, it was her and Wendy. I think it was Kelly. I'm sorry, her high school friend Kelly.
Odell.
That. So I've heard this, and I want to hear it from you because I feel like you'll be honest about it. Did Kelly actually get Randy into Days of Our Lives? Did he get?
Oh, we did watch Days of Our Lives.
So Pam
Yes.
tells me the story that Kelly.
Yeah, we couldn't go to the Midway until Days was over.
So Kelly and Pam would come over after school was out and just show up, and she makes it sound like Kelly would just walk in there and grab the remote, or we didn't have remotes back then. She would turn the channel and like, oh, Days of Our Lives are on, and Randy would, pretend to bitch about it. He probably actually was serious at first, but then eventually he started watching it. He got addicted to Days of Our Lives.
He was pretty soft on the girls.
Well,
the girls were his girls, even Kelly
yes.
and all of them. They were just his girls.
But he eventually kind of got addicted
And we
to
started
Days of Our
watching
Lives.
Days. I never watched it either until then. Started watching Days of Our Lives. Even when we moved up on the hill, we couldn't go shoot pool until Days was over.
And it started
That's
at
when
3.
we went to shoot pool.
Started at 3 and it was over at 4. I remember because my grandmother, my mom's mom, when I was in elementary school, she was by then retired, but we lived on the same property outside of Canby. So I would come home, and if my mom or my dad, my dad was a truck driver, and if my mom was still at work or whatever, I'd go hang out with grandma. Soap operas all day. Young and the Restless.
My stepmom was the same way.
Oh my
all
God.
Day, all of them. All of them. Even the old ones that they don't even show anymore. I keep trying to remember the names of some of those.
I think that's the only one.
General Hospital.
General Hospital.
Yes.
Young and the Restless. Days of Our Lives. And I can't remember the other ones, but there was a few. Oh, that just cracked me up though. Because I know Randy's rugged, outdoor, manly man.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, had a soft spot for the daughters and her friends. Yep. Yes.
Yep.
I know Randy didn't like to take a lot of photos, but I've seen a few pictures of him, and I've seen at least one or two in your guys' kitchen, so I can just kind of picture. Because we walked by the house, and I know it was small, but I can picture Randy sitting in there just having to deal with Pam and her friends after high school.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that cracks me up. And the Midway back then was a lot smaller, I think. I feel like they've expanded
it was small. Yeah, it was pretty small, but it was friendly. It was a lot nicer.
Yeah, like a neighborhood
And then
bar.
when Billy sold it to Craig, then Craig went in and boom, it expanded.
Expanded it,
Mhm.
right. But okay, that's a good question. Is that where you learned to shoot pool? Because you're kind of a pool shark.
Yeah, used to be. I haven't played in
Right,
so
obviously,
long.
but
In fact, I've been thinking about listing my stick.
no, you should keep it.
I don't think I'll ever use it again.
It could happen.
It's not my stick anyway. I mean, it's my stick, but mine got stolen. So.
Yeah, but randomly there might
Yeah.
be sometime we'll take you out and play pool. But is that where you learned?
Yes, that's where I learned to shoot pool.
And was Randy already into it? Did you guys kind of learn together?
He really wasn't into it that much. He never really went out and shot pool.
Okay. So how did
without me or anything.
So how did you get into it?
Well, we met Voltage.
Okay.
And Voltage did it every night, every day. He was
I
there.
know I've met Voltage. It's so funny because I never can remember his real name because you keep calling him Voltage. But I know I met
Jim
him.
Ellis.
I met him at who was the one that lives in Aurora still has the place there, I thought. But I went there for like a family reunion back when me and Pam were first together.
Sandra and Daryl.
Oh, that was where they were at, but then they ended up selling it. Was that Sandra and Daryl's place in Aurora?
Mary Jean and Art lived in Aurora.
No, it wasn't them.
Then it must, or Joe and Sam.
It was Joe and Sam. That's
yeah,
who it
Joe
was.
and Sam.
But they had kind of a family gathering.
Uh-huh.
That was the first time that I met Ann,
yeah,
Cleta.
I remembered because I couldn't make it.
Yes. Okay, but that was Joe and Sam's
Uh-huh.
house.
Yeah,
And I feel like Voltage was there
and they still live there, in fact. So
in Aurora.
Joe and Sam, yeah.
Oh, Joe and Sam do.
Yeah.
Okay. But so Voltage got you into pool?
Yeah, I think because he invited us up to shoot pool, and we went up to shoot pool.
And
we
was
did every night
it
after that.
at the Midway? Was that
Yeah.
the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Really? And you just kind of took
And
to
we
it.
could walk
Yeah, it was
if we
close enough
wanted
to your house.
We didn't. I don't think we ever walked up there.
I'm
it was
sure
close
you did
enough we
once in
could.
a while, but
no,
yeah.
he wasn't a walker, except out hunting
Right.
or fishing.
Then he would walk forever
Yeah.
to get the gosh damn elk.
Yeah, or climb a mountain for a chucker that you're not even going to get.
But
if you get one, there's one isn't even enough for one person.
But he's
to
not
eat.
going to walk 2 blocks to the Midway.
Yeah, we drive.
But Voltage kind of got you into it,
Yeah.
and was it just something
Yeah,
you kind of took
he
to?
invited us up there, and then it was just something. Then we met Tad, another guy that goes in every night, and so we just sort of took to it and enjoyed it, and
That
went
is
up
cool.
every evening.
And you kind of became a shark, because I remember when you first moved back, Pam was working out in Sandy, and you would go out there with her, and you would
I
run
enjoyed that.
run these guys. You'd
enjoyed
mess with these
that.
kids out there.
Well, I couldn't get any females at the Midway to shoot with me
How come?
because I shot with all guys, and I was better than them, and I beat them, and they quit playing with me.
Right.
They wouldn't. There was only one, and she was a gay gal. But Teresa, I just loved her. She was a sweetheart. She would play with me. She was good.
So she
So
was
she would
the
play
one that
with
was
me.
secure enough.
Yeah, she would play with me. But none of the other gals would shoot with me.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to play with all guys.
Well, I mean, you probably would have got good either way, but that's so Randy did play sometimes, or just occasionally with you?
Pool?
Yeah. Was
Oh,
he
no, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, all the time.
So he was also kind of a shark?
He was pretty good, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he was.
You know, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast all the time, and he's a big pool guy. So he actually recently had a world champion pool player on. I was listening to them talk about the game, and I'm like, he's talking about the different types of sticks, and you can have, a wood stick or a alloy stick, or was it alloy or something else that it's made out of? And he's like, they're talking about. And it's blowing my mind because I can't relate to it. I can kind of relate to, they're talking about like grip. If you're a good pool player, you don't have a stranglehold on it.
No.
You kind of relax it.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Just
can
let
tell.
it glide.
Yeah. And was it a skip shot that he talked about? If you're really good, there are people that know how to almost release the cue on the shot for a fraction of a second, but then they catch it. So it's almost like they pop it and let it slide free. They release their grip on it for just a fraction of a second and then catch it before it goes out of their hands. And it's supposed to add something. I just got off mic, but it adds something to their shot. But you have to be really good to do it.
A skip, you mean a jump?
No,
Okay.
with the cue itself.
Oh,
So when they're doing the shot,
I've never heard
they
of that.
actually will release their grip on it for a fraction of a second to let it slide freely, and I think it's supposed to add more momentum to the cue ball. But then they catch it before it actually gets out of their hands. And this is obviously
got
advanced
me.
pool stuff.
Yeah, obviously.
But I don't know. I just saw you wipe the table with everybody at Ria's bar in Sandy, Oregon. So, oh my gosh! All right, we can wrap it up. But I do want to say thank you, Linda. Give me a cheers. You are the first guest on the For Our Loved Ones podcast, so I appreciate you doing that for me.
I enjoyed it.
And I'm going to have you back as a guest, obviously, because we can do it right here in the household. So, and I promise I will let you listen back to it. If there's anything you said you want to have edited out, then
No,
I'll
you don't
I'll
have,
kick
it's
it
not
out,
even
so.
necessary.
All right.
I haven't said anything that had to be edited.
And that was the whole point of this. Is I just want to sit down and have a conversation. I don't want to make it like a news story or
Right.
it's just we're just talking. So and it's stuff I'm interested in. the people that have had different lives than me. I wish I could have done this with my mom. I would love to have done it with my dad.
Oh, yeah.
I could maybe still do it with my dad. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. If I can actually get him to stay on mic and tell his stories. And if anybody can actually understand him with his Southern drawl, his stories, because he's so full of shit, would be hilarious. They would be hilarious. So actually, maybe I'll try to take this out there and do that when I go back and see him. So
When are you going back?
the end of the month, me and Kristen are trying to get a couple of standby tickets through Sean. Sean's going to help us.
Oh.
So I think we're going to fly back for a quick trip, like a Wednesday, and come back on Friday. Last week of the month. And actually, yeah, I could. I don't even have to bring that. I can just pack this up on my laptop and the microphones.
Oh.
That would actually. Oh my God! I just got inspired. I might make him record a podcast while I'm back there. That would be so funny. Because he's a great guy, but he's so full of shit. Oh my God, it would be entertaining. All right, we're gonna call it a night. Thank you, Linda.
No problem.